Coach, first time that you were able to have 3 days between games, did you, during the streak, you didn't have any time. Like, did you allow yourself or to reflect at all on, like, what got you to the great start during the time?
Not really. It felt weird, when you're in that rhythm. You're just rhythm, shoot around game, practice, shoot, and to have a few days was, I just kind of just focused in on the family, yeah, I think you do did kind of like just kind of a global look at where we were, like looked at all the, we call them KPIs, like key performance indicators, where we are kind of in each category. So I looked at that and on both sides of the ball, and then last 10 game report. And we get so much great information from our strategy group, from our analytics. There's always something to look at. So I did peek at that, but majority of the time was spent with the family.
Was there anything, I guess, that surprised you or stood out in kind of a surprising way from those KPIs?
Yeah, I think was it last 10 games? I think we're 19th in defensive rating. I saw that. Now, of course, there's context behind that. Teams are shooting way over expected in those 19 games. So it's those last 10 games. So you get a little and you got to dive deeper, and there's always like another dive to why things are happening. But and shooting, 3-point shooting variance, we talk about it all the time in this room. It matters. It counts a lot. But I also said, man, can we contest shots better? Can we get better contests, and looked at contest rate. It just keeps going, Serena.
So different Toronto team than you obviously saw to start the year. You look at paint points, transition, offensive rebounding, all top of the league in those categories. What do you do to I guess, try to limit those becoming a factor?
Oh man, I'm a much better team than we faced game one. They're healthier. RJ is obviously really, caught a great streak here. He's playing great. They're using him as a handler a lot, and he's dangerous because he's got such great size. And then Pirtle has played great lately. Offensive rebounding is always a concern with them. I think they're one, so there you go. And then their transition. They're kind of playing like the kind of perfect profile in terms of what you want with a young team. Credit to Darko and their group. They just as soon as they get healthier, they're going to be more dangerous. But dangerous team coming in here tonight off a win streak.
Tom, Kenny Isaac was questionable. Any update on that?
He's out there right now trying it. So practiced yesterday, which is a good sign. So hopefully he'll be good to go.
Seems like there's always injuries. It's kind of the evil side of the game. It seems like there's big names, what have you. At this time of the year, Kenny, when the schedule was as demanding as it was, you guys are also playing some intense games with the cup and what have you. Are you even more mindful about rest, minutes, all that stuff that goes into a full season?
Tom, it's a big part of it. We'll spend the first 15-20 minutes of our meeting, coach, just going over schedule. Are we going to shoot around here? What do the loads look like for the next practices? Scheduling and planning and understanding the sports science part of it, and get all the information, and then getting the feel with the players, right? Like where how are they feeling? Just their general feeling. So we've been lucky. We've been able to sneak in some rest for some guys, and we knew we had to get to this break. Like, can we get to this break in decent shape? I think we did that. Obviously, some guys out, but now we got a few guys coming back because of the couple days rest.
When you guys talk about the science and the analytics of it, is there anything about pace of play and tempo that could be built into maybe some of these soft tissue things that we're seeing?
Oh yeah. Now, is there any one thing that I can tell you? This is it.
Yeah.
There's just so many factors, right? But what we can control is our practice load. We have individual work before practice, before and after practice. You have to look at that too, and you look at from an individual standpoint and a team standpoint. And I lean on our sports science group to I believe in it. I've always believed in it, and they're real helpful in terms of guiding us where we want to go. But we are far. This is far from being exact science, and sometimes you get an injury like, man, I thought we did everything like perfectly, right? But there's no perfect when it comes to this. It's complicated, but it's a big piece of what we do as a staff.
Chris. Hey Kenny, given the condensed schedule and the limited practice time that you guys have had in this first month, how much would you say you've installed of ultimately what you want by the end of the season at this point?
Good question. 70%, maybe 65%. I think the good thing with us, we play more on principles than having 25 different plays or 30 different plays. So, like I've said before, we try to keep it simple, kind of our formation simple, our spacing simple, and we try to get a trigger out of it. Then off of that, we play on principles. So it's cutting principles, drive and kick principles, pick and roll principles. What you're supposed to do on each type of action. So yeah, even the practice we had last week, we didn't really run through plays. We went through our cutting principles. We went to our pick and roll solutions, against different coverages. So it's I think the NBA's shifted a little more from a run a ton of plays to more how do you create this kind of chaotic environment but with shared principles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, in terms of the principles, is that a Cavs specific thing, or have you always been that kind of coach where
I think I've shifted. I've like I said, various influences I've had, so it's kind of a mesh, but that's at my soul, that's where I prefer to play. I think I just have this philosophy. I think it's your highest ceiling, like when you really got to win the big games, like they're going to take away your pet sets. I'm not saying you don't need to run them. We end of practice yesterday, we did half court end of game execution, kind of 5 plays in a huddle like football. Like we got to execute, defense is set. We got to do that. But usually those plays break down, because they blow them up. And now what are you doing? What's that next action look like? Again, we kind of focused on that past few days in practice.
Yeah.
Coach, you crossed paths with Garrett Temple back in Brooklyn.
Yes.
What was it like to coach him?
Oh my gosh, a dream. He was really, what a cerebral player, great locker room guy, and heck of a player, right? Like when we had him, such an upstanding guy. He helped me a lot. He's one of those vets in the locker room that you lean on as a coach. I believe, did he become a lawyer? I think he was starting that, and he's just a smart guy. Like he's super smart. So ultimate respect. I saw he played the other night and got some good men. Yeah, like he's a guy. He's a vet, but he can help you win games. So I'm sure the Raptors are thrilled to have him.
Dan.
We saw our first extended run of Jalen on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
What's his growth been like behind the scenes?
Didn't really know. You don't really know till he's thrown into the fire. So, like I said, after last game, we saw him in kind of like garbage minutes, and it didn't look great, right? And so, but that's the only information you have. Obviously, we have our development games and our small-sided games and all the development work we do. But even that, I'm not always out there for that. I'm in meetings, so I get feedback from the coaches. So it was always positive. So I went back to training camp in September where he was outstanding. Like you could argue, top 5 players in the gym. And I kept telling Kobe, I'm like, this guy's going to help us. He's going to help us win some games. I said, wait a second, he's a rookie, so fast forward, we throw him in the starting lineup, and he plays great. And I think George and Ty said it. His maturity that he showed, doing all the dirty work, and so he'll get another shot tonight. He'll play tonight. He won't be in the starting lineup. Chris, relax. Yeah, he deserves another shot. We'll give him some minutes tonight.
Where do you think that he can help you guys out the most with that second opportunity?
Just kind of like all the dirty work, like offense. I think last game we're in the 99th percentile of offensive rebounding. I'm like, I wonder why that. Well, Jalen was in there, right? Tristan's in there is a really good. Sometimes as players, so he can. We struggle in that area. He can help in that area, and then he defensive rebounds too, which is important. And then he's just the ultimate really good cutter, and he's not afraid to let it fly. So, like he's one of these guys that comes into the league and he just understands, like, man, I am a role player. I'm gonna do all those things. I know that's what's gonna get me on the court, and that's not always the case for a young guy coming in the league. Sometimes they get off track, right? And he's on track in terms of what needs to be done to get playing time.
Mike,
Hey, Mike.
Scotty Barnes is obviously back and kind of up to speed, and is Evan kind of a good matchup for him, given all the different things that a guy like Scotty can do?
Yeah, I personally, as a fan, I love seeing those two go up against each other. Two of the bright, like, young, up and coming, like, stars in the league. Like, it's great to see. Different game, like, they have different kind of profile. But they're kind of that hybrid kind of 4 wing, can also play the 5. Like, it's a really they're really interesting players, and really oh, that's okay. Happens to me sometimes. But they're like the new style. I don't even want to call them big guys. They're hybrids, but they're 6'10", 6'11", strong, skilled. Both can pass at a high level. It's gonna be a blast to watch them go at it again tonight.
Tim.
Tim.
Kenny, I want to go back to something you referenced a couple of minutes ago about the direction that the NBA is going and the way the game is being played. Is that ever in conflict with how you want to coach and your system? And if so, how do you resolve it? Like, this is where it's going, but this is what I like to do.
No, I think, as a coach, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to the league, and first adapt to your players. That's the most important thing. But also understand, how the game's being played. Quite honestly, how the game's being refereed is important. So if you're kind of not in tune with that, you can get left behind. And like I said, I think we get great information. I think we see trends coming in the league. Trends that can help you win, right? Not just trends for style's sake. I think it's more, this is a trend. This can help us. This can help us win games. You look at offensive rebounding, like, hey, is that something that can, that's the league is shifted, right? With that transition, pass aheads, like there's all these little things, and you have to try to adapt because can help you win games.
It was only 4 years from Brooklyn to now when you became head
Yeah.
coach again, but in that time, has your coaching adapted because the game adapted? Did it
Oh,
adapt that
no
much
doubt
in
about
that
it.
time?
No doubt about it. The game's changing so quickly. I think the 5-out stuff, what was it, Sacramento that just really went all in on that, and they broke the offensive efficiency records of that 2 years ago, I believe. That was Golden State. Saw that happen, right? So all of a sudden, you're just seeing trends, especially the offensive trends that happen in the league, and as we can see, we're breaking offensive efficiency records right and left. So now you got the 3-point revolution. It's another revolution, another advance. Now you got to be careful. We've talked about this. Like, do you go chase that? Like, is that something you chase? Is that what you keep an eye on it? Do we need to shoot more 3? You're having those conversations, but again, it does go back. Does it fit your team and their strengths and characteristics?